the ultimate limit of that is the arms necessary to prevent. Basically, you can own any arm that is necessary to necessary.
They're fucking killing Arnie kids, so you're telling me it isn't real when they had a fucking vote in the goddamn fucking Senate?
You're being replaced, and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up.
Welcome everyone to Ready to Rumble with your host Korak the Bard and Dr. Scorpion the Bird. Today we're delving into the wide world of women on Rumble, and while it's not a very large demographic, there are some notable female luminaries that share the stage on the internet's biggest sausage fest. As always, I'm your favorite bard, Korak the Bard, joined by my steadfast co-host, Dr. Scorpion the Bird.
Thank you, Bard. Thank you. I am Dr. Scorpion the Bird. I am a real doctor, but I'm not a real bird, and I am here for the nerd shit.
As am I. As usual, Doc, before we get into the unholy den of right-wing idiocy that is Rumble.
Well, something good this week comes from something very bad, and the very bad bit was that we lost our greyhound, who had been with us for 11 years. A bit of a sad, tragic end to a life well lived.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the something good that came out of it is that we now have a new puppy in the house.
Aww.
Because we just could not be a 2-dog household. We had to be a 3-dog household. So I've wanted a Staffordshire Terrier puppy. I think they're called something different in the States. I'm not 100% sure. But I love Staffies. They are just the best dogs. And we have a blue puppy. She's 8 weeks old and she's just gorgeous and getting up to all the usual puppy shenanigans. And it's wonderful.
What's the puppy's name?
The puppy's name is Totoro. One of my stepkids is a huge Studio Ghibli fan, and if you're sitting around the house stoned one afternoon thinking, I really want to watch some trippy Japanese animation shit, put on My Friend Totoro. It's great.
Oh, yeah. I never thought I would live to see a cat bus, but I have seen a cat bus because I've seen Totoro.
It's definitely one of those movies where just don't ask too many questions. Just roll with it, you know?
Yeah, go with it. It's fine, man. It's a great trip. And it's so wholesome.
It genuinely is. It is a genuinely wholesome movie. It's a really great one to just watch on a Saturday afternoon when you've got nothing much better to do with your time. You've got maybe half a joint and a beer or two left. And yeah, it's a great way to spend an afternoon.
Definitely.
How about you, Bard? What's your something good?
My something good, as it has in past podcast episodes, usually relates to Costa Rica. I've got to give credit to the Costa Rican people. I'm having a wonderful time here, and just the other day after I was leaving a restaurant, and I was literally just standing on the street waiting for my taxi. But of course, I'm a 6-foot-tall gringo who obviously looks out of place. And somebody just stopped and was like, "Are you okay? Are you lost? Do you need help getting somewhere? What's your deal?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I realize I'm a fish out of water, but no, I'm waiting for my cab. I'm going home. I live here. It's all good." Very friendly, very helpful. And then on my walk home, I'm passing by my neighbor's driveway, and it's 4 old guys just sitting around smoking cigars. And they say, "Hey, Korak, you want to come over here and smoke cigars and drink brandy with us?" I'm like, "Would I?" So, yeah, we had ourselves a great time. And then to cap off the rest, it was a blue ribbon day. I get home, and my neighbor Maggie, who is a very old, very Hungarian person who loves to make food, she brought me soup. Just because.
That is truly fantastic. Your local volcano's had a little bit of action recently, hasn't it? It's had a few things to say.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you're up on that because, yeah, I live literally at the foot of the Poas volcano, and it's been very active recently. My porch is covered with a light dusting of ash, and there is the smell that ranges from, hey, is somebody barbecuing, to, oh, no, that's definitely sulfur. Oh. So it's been really interesting to watch how that's going, and we actually lost our water the other day because they had to test it to make sure that there was no like acid in the water, because volcanoes can really fuck your water up.
Yeah.
But everything's good. It's just throwing a little tantrum. Nothing serious, nothing to evacuate over, but it's been really interesting to watch.
Yeah. It's just complaining that nobody threw in a certain president's daughter into it when they had the chance.
I did not know Ivanka was in my neck of the woods until way after the fact. If I had known, the newspapers would be reading very different headlines today.
Don't take it personally. Plenty of people had the opportunity, not just you. Yeah, don't take it personally the way that Fox News took it personally when somebody spray painted "No Fascist US" on the side of a building and they ran the headline "Anti-Trump graffiti," blah blah blah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not telling on yourself, I don't know what is.
I mean, we're shipping people off to El Salvador, but don't you dare touch our Teslas. That is the real terrorism.
Yeah, God's sake. Man, this was supposed to be the something good section. We're not supposed to be getting depressed until at least the next section.
We've already started early.
Damn it.
Well, that was kind of a bittersweet tell me something good, but it's a perfect transition into our subject of the day, which is what, Dr. Scorpion?
Well, we're 4 episodes in. And so far, this podcast has been entirely 2 white men talking about white men. So, in preparing for this 5th episode, I thought to myself, what about the women of Rumble? Well, I did what I thought was the obvious first step and Googled Rumble female contributors. Korak, please describe for the folks at home the genuine, unadulterated first hit from Google for Rumble female contributors.
Oh, I can't wait to pull this up. Let's see. And while I'm pulling it up, you said it's time to get away from the white men of Rumble. And I was like, is there any other choice? I'm really curious. So if you're telling me there's females, let's see. Okay, what we have here is hottest reporters, anchors, journalists, sportcasters, and others from Rumble. Wow. So it seems that the women of Rumble, maybe they're in a calendar or something like that. But that's all I'm getting from this Google search. Did you find any actual reporters that were not, based on their hotness?
Well, you might have noticed that the word female was deliberately excluded by Google in this search because apparently it was either not particularly important or something that people don't commonly pair with Rumble and contributors. So, here's what happens if you force Google to include female with your Rumble contributors. When I originally made this Google search, the top hit was the uncensored Royal Rumble link. Today, thanks to the AI overview that nobody asked for or wants, we are now first told that Rumble hosts several prominent female contributors, notably pro-Trump vloggers Diamond and Silk.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, Diamond, of course, died in 2023 from heart disease linked to chronic high blood pressure following an unspecified illness that was definitely not COVID, but could have been, according to Silk, vaccine shedding, airborne bioweapons, or straight-up murder as part of a global depopulation strategy. We will never know.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I did hear about that. She died suddenly, and she was not vaccinated, so maybe the COVID shedding of the virus is what killed her. That, and she was morbidly obese, but, who's to say?
It's a mystery. But let's quickly follow some hits. Looking at the first hit, top Rumble channels in September 24, we get a handy bar graph which lists, in order, InfoWars, Dan Bongino, our old friend from episode 2, RBSN, Newsmax, Bannon's War Room, Stephen Crowder, Real America's Voice, Badlands Media, RT News, that's the Russian state propaganda network, and Nick Fuentes. Exactly 0 women.
And apparently they're still not affiliated with the WWE. How has that crossover not happened? It's already called Rumble.
I guarantee it's coming. It's got to be coming.
It has to.
They already have a sports deal with Barstool Sports. It can't be that big of a jump to start hosting some WWE shit.
Right. I mean, then the Google searches are already there. You're just leaving money on the table.
Exactly. Google desperately wants the Royal Rumble to be on Rumble. You might as well. The next link is from Statista that shows pretty much the same thing. And then we get into a Reddit discussion about female commentators in the WWE.
Ah, see, the crossover just writes itself.
I know. But it's amazing how the power of misogyny is stronger than the power of Google. It's quite incredible.
So now I'm curious, are there female Rumble contributors or journalists or podcasters or whatever?
Well, I paid a visit to a friend of ours from episode 3. Stu Peters and the Stu Peters Network, because when I was researching that episode, one name in particular caught my eye. Stu Peters Network plays host to one Kandiss Taylor. Korak, is that name familiar to you?
You say Kandiss, I say Owens, but no, Taylor doesn't ring a bell.
Again, for the folks at home, take a look at the headshot of Kandiss Taylor pulled directly from the Stu Peters Network.
Wow, is this a promotional shot for her show?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yep.
what I'm looking at is her arms are crossed and she's got a very stern look on her face, like you were late for detention, Mr. Korak, once again. And above her it says, Jesus, period. Guns, period. Wow.
Oh, that's because the third word is written in a handwritten type font that's really tough to decipher, but we'll get there, don't you worry.
Yeah, I was wondering, it looks like her signature, like this is her show, and, you know, she wrote her name under the guns, but yeah, I can't make out what that says at all.
Oh, don't you worry, we will get there. Otherwise, it's a fairly conventional shot. Now, if you could please have a look at this next screen grab that I've sent to you, which again, genuine, unadulterated, and pulled directly from the Stu Peters Network website. Can you just read for the folks at home the description of Kandiss Taylor's podcast?
Okay, Dr. Kandiss Taylor, lorem ipsum. This is the nonsense that is put in as filler when you don't have the actual information. This is like when you first sign up for WordPress and you launch your first article, but it has no text, so it just fills in nonsense, so it looks like you have something there.
Yep, it's the Microsoft Word nonsense quasi-Latin filler text.
Oh my God. This is what you put on prop newspapers in the movie. You know, they're never going to read what's on there. It's just in the background. But this is her front page.
That's her front page. Yep.
Wow. I bet the show is even way more amazing than that.
Well, we're going to get there. Because...
Oh boy. I mean, look at the standards we've already set for the show. The bar's pretty fucking high. She's talking Latin.
Well, yeah. So it's filler text, and that's not great when this is your main web presence.
Yeah, it doesn't really scream production value. That with the stock photo, obviously somebody put a little Photoshop work into it to work the logo in there, but that's where it ends.
Yeah, and look, Kandiss Taylor was a surprisingly difficult person to research. She does not have a Wikipedia page of her own and only features in Earth's #1 reference source because she placed third in the Georgia Republican gubernatorial primary in 2022.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of Teddy Daniels, and it seems like all of these failed political candidates just started podcasts with their election money.
Well, you could be onto something here. But in that election, she gained a little bit of media traction because she had a bus that was emblazoned with her election slogan, Jesus, Guns, and Babies.
Oh, that's what it says.
Was what it says in her headshot, because that was the name of the podcast that she launched directly after her unsuccessful gubernatorial primary run.
Wow. Jesus, Guns, and Babies. Awesome.
Jesus, Guns, and Babies.
And she put that on a bus? Oh, tell me she was still wearing the green shirt in the bus with the same scowl. She has one photo and she's going to use it.
Boy, what a face to have on the side of a bus. That expression.
Jesus Christ.
That expression is, that's something.
I mean, that's a face that could stop traffic, but not in a good way.
Well, it stopped a podcast, because the podcast, as far as I can tell, has been pulled.
Oh no!
From Google Podcasts, from Amazon, from Apple, and it's actually been pulled from the Stu Peters network itself.
Oh no! What happened?
I don't know, man. The only traces I could find of it were as short clips on Rumble.
So the new Rumble slogan can be, "We used to have a woman with us."
Well, here's the thing. I do know that there are other women on Rumble, and for future episodes we will look at some of them. But Kandiss Taylor was a character that I could not resist doing a bit of an investigation on.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so who is Kandiss Taylor? First thing you need to know, she spells her name with a K and ISS at the end. Kandiss.
That's the classy spelling.
Yeah. So Dr. Kandiss Taylor, PhD, is a Christian right-wing politician and religious commentator. As mentioned, her foray into politics was not successful. Taylor earned her PhD in counseling and early childhood education through Regent University in Georgia. Now, a quick diversion on Regent University. It's a private Christian university that was established in 1977 by a man that we mentioned way back in episode 1, Pat Robertson.
Oh God. So now we're seeing the next generation of Pat Robertson graduates?
It's all tied together. 1 degree of Kevin Bacon amongst all of them. Regent University was originally named Christian Broadcasting Network University because Pat Robertson was a colossal narcissist, but changed its name to Regent University in 1990 because in the same way that a regent represents a monarch, the school, quote, represents Christ, our sovereign, in whatever sphere of life we may be called to serve him, end quote. Yeah, absolutely.
God University, it's about time.
In 2007, a second-year student named Adam Key posted a photo of Pat Robertson scratching his forehead with his middle finger in what could be interpreted to be an obscene gesture to Facebook. Key also criticized...
That is ungodly.
Yeah. Well, not as ungodly as Key also criticizing Robertson's call to assassinate then leader of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez.
Not only do I remember that, I wrote... That was the time I was doing a weekly review in New York when you had to get an audience physically to come to this place called a theater, and they watched you do it one time, and then it was over. I wrote a parody from Les Mis where Hugo Chavez is on his way to deliver aid for Hurricane Katrina victims, and Pat Robertson is just leaving the Oval Office. And they have a Jean Valjean versus Javert showdown right there in front of the Oval Office. It was fucking epic.
So Regent University demanded that Key remove the photos and the criticisms. Key refused and was suspended. Key then sued the university, claiming infringement of his right to free speech. Regent University countered that the image posted by Key was not protected free speech as it did not meet this university's standards of decency. Key responded with examples of racist imagery that had been posted to Facebook by other students that Regent did not act upon. Regent then claimed that the image was a, quote, security risk, end quote. Key countered by producing an internal university memo indicating that Robertson himself was concerned with Key's complaints. Ultimately, in June of 2009, the suit was dismissed.
Oh, God.
So
free speech, except if it's indecent. And by the way, racism is not indecent.
Yeah. Free speech as long as you don't piss off the rich guy at the top.
I mean, that tracks for Christianity, as far as I'm concerned.
Trigger warning for the next minute or so. Feel free to skip. While this free speech contretemps is the only scandal in the public domain involving Regent University, there are rumours out there around cover-ups of sexual assault allegations. According to the rumours, Regent University has a practice of not investigating sexual assault allegations, instead forcing people who come forward with those allegations to sign NDAs on pain of being kicked out of the school. Again, these are unsubstantiated rumours, but given the pattern of cover-ups that we've seen from other Christian colleges and universities when it comes to sexual assault allegations, Liberty University comes to mind. Do not be surprised if the name Regent University crops up in that context at some point in the future too.
Well, I forgot it. Where is it? I put it here somewhere. Wait. Oh, there it is. I'm going to put it on. Now I have my shocked face on. Continue.
Yeah, exactly. So, back to Kandiss Taylor. The only professional of history I could find for Dr. Taylor is that she has been on the Appling County Board of Education since 2003, which should serve as a reminder to our listening audience that if you have a spare evening a week, you too can run for a seat on your local board or regional equivalent and exert some measure of political influence over the future of your local county.
Wow. Yeah. Were you a failed hall monitor from grade school? Well, there's a future in it.
I think people in general seem to not realize exactly how much influence they can have at their local level and how easily that influence can filter up to the state and even federal level. So
Oh, yeah. No, there was a big kind of grassroots uprising following January 6th in the States where they were like, we're taking over the boards of education. And then things just became chaos at a local level, depending on the town you were in. And she's obviously one who matriculated through that. So, wow.
It's a real struggle to find positives about the way society is going right now. One of them has been the number of men who just come right out and say that they're colossal bags of shit. So, it's a silver lining that you don't have to do the work of outing these guys. They do it for you. And I think, and again, we're really grasping here, but I think the other silver lining that you could say is that town council meetings, county board of education meetings, they've become exciting again. They've become important again. Because the problem is that when things work, nobody pays attention or gives a shit.
Right.
And that's when you have these covert maneuverings trying to take things over. There's a similar thing happened here to our state government a little while ago. A conservative religious movement that shall remain nameless tried to take over and in large part succeeded in taking over the Conservative Party's administrative wing. So they put candidates up for all of the really, really boring positions that usually have the word secretary in the title that run all the internal party stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so once they'd done that, they then had outsized influence on who got selected as candidates to run in the elections and that sort of thing. What happened was that when they put up all of these extremely conservative, and this is Australian conservative, right? Let's not forget that Australia and most of Europe sit far to the left of where America is right now. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget that the Democrat Party in the rest of the OECD would be seen as right to centre right.
Right.
So when we're saying that an Australian right-wing party, they are so far to the right of what Australian society is that the Conservative Party got absolutely obliterated in those state-level elections and everybody laughed because it was hilarious.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Whereas in the States, it's the opposite thing. The absolute worst people are now cheered and lauded and running things. And it's like what you said before, when it bubbles up at the local and state level, that rises to the top. So yeah, normally in a town hall to, go over the commission to fund the local park and the playground or the sanitation or whatever, no one gives a shit. But now it's become a royal rumble at the local level, and that's what we're seeing in the White House today.
Yeah. So look, folks at home, this is your call to action. If you've got an evening a week to spare on your school's board, your county education board, your library or whatever, please go and stand for something. Please go and run for these places, because if you don't, the other side will. And, that's how we get, I think it was Arkansas just cut funding to all of its libraries.
Right. Why is it when there's a power vacuum, just the Karens show up? Like they have nothing better to do than stick their fingers up other people's noses.
Yeah. That's a question that answers itself, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, before we get too depressed, it's quiz time. A pair of Rolling Stone articles from May and June of 2003 detailed Kandiss Taylor's belief in which conspiracy theory? Was it A, 9/11 was an inside job, B, flat eartherism, C, fake moon landing, or D, Holocaust denial?
Wow. So I see there's no E, all of the above, which would have been my first choice. So you're telling me it's one of these things?
It's definitely one of those four things. 9/11 inside job, Earth is flat, moon landing fake, or Holocaust denial.
Oof. Well, all right, I'm going to rely on her title of Jesus, Guns, and Babies and think she's a super Christian, and maybe she thinks the Jews had it coming and also the Holocaust didn't happen. So I'm going to go with D, Holocaust denial.
Oh, I liked your logic, but you landed in the wrong spot. No.
Damn it.
Taylor believes that the Earth might be flat.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, we're not going to go too deep into it right now because we're going to revisit this later in the episode. In the aforementioned 2022 Republican gubernatorial primary, Taylor came third with 3% of the vote.
Wow.
Like a good modern Republican, she immediately claimed the vote was rigged and has not, to this date, conceded defeat.
Okay, so yeah, as goes Kerry Lake, so goes other Republican losers who were a distant third with 3% of the vote. Clearly rigged.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that you and your family voted for you. No, it had to be something way more sinister than that.
I know, that's what the system has become. It's not just... it's people who were on the didn't quite make the level of also ran on the primary.
Yeah.
This is not even the gubernatorial election. This is the Republican primary, and she got 3%.
The Republicans don't want you. There might be a
Yes.
career on Rumble for you. Who knows?
Yeah, she was not rejected by the people of Georgia. She was rejected by the Republicans of Georgia.
Much like Teddy Daniels, who, well, since he's a guy and 300 pounds, of course he's a powerhouse on Rumble and making lots of money doing that now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, the other significant part of Kandiss Taylor's failed gubernatorial tilt was that 2 months after the primary, the monument known as the Georgia Guidestones was bombed. For those unfamiliar with the Guidestones, they were a monument comprised of 6 granite slabs inscribed with instructions on how to rebuild civilization following a catastrophic event such as a nuclear war. Because of references to eugenics and strictly populated population growth, the Guidestones had become a central figure in various conspiracy theories. During her campaign, Taylor denounced the Guidestones as satanic, despite their creator being very much a Christian,
Naturally.
and had made their removal a tenet of her policy platform, presumably fourth after the Jesus, the guns, and the babies.
Do you want to help us? We're all hungry. No. Get rid of that monument that tells people how to rebuild society, because fuck humanity. We're going to end in fire the way Jesus said.
Yeah, because Georgia has no other pressing issues beyond the existence of half a dozen granite slabs.
We solved all the problems. Now we got to start dealing with the national park scourge.
Yeah. And then in February of this year, Taylor announced that she would be running for Congress in the 2026 midterms.
Well, you know, if they gerrymander it right down to her neighborhood, she could actually get in.
Yeah, the system just needs to recognize that the district she is running for is her house.
District 21B is the strongest district in Georgia. All 2 stories of it.
Anything else would be grossly unfair. And if they do the fair and right thing, her house, she will get 100% of the vote.
Yeah. Very convenient, too. I mean, the campaign stop is the kitchen.
There is no word yet on whether or not she will be reprising Jesus or guns or babies for her campaign slogan.
I'm just remembering now that the babies, because I couldn't make it out before, but it was written in red ink that looked kind of like a signature. So who made that choice to make it look like a blood spatter behind her that you couldn't read?
Ah, see, I'm colorblind. That did not occur to me that was in red.
Oh, yeah. It's barn red, man. That's like something Dexter would analyze.
Right. That's that's kind of menacing.
A little bit. And her threatening tone, like, this is very, very aggressive.
Yeah. I mean, we all know why it's there. It's there because she is, obviously, and it goes without saying, which is why I haven't mentioned it before, but obviously she is staunchly anti-abortion.
Oh, yeah, that much is clear.
Yeah, so obviously the babies encapsulates the protecting of babies from the evils of abortion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes total sense that she would do it in a super blood red. Awesome. So let's have a look at some of the videos Taylor has posted to Rumble.
Oh, boy.
They are all over a year old. The most recent one is this one, a message from Ryan and Kandiss. Ryan is Candiss's husband, not that you'd know that from watching the video. Check out this slickly produced piece of media content.
Oh, boy.
So, Korak, describe for the folks at home what it is you're seeing right now.
It's a still shot of a person who looks like they're standing in a church, and immediately I'm drawn to the stained glass because there's a pink and blue stained glass cross, and I thought those were the trans colors or the pride colors or something like that. So immediately I'm like, is this a woke church? I'm not sure. I don't know what's about to happen, but we've got somebody standing in a church and we can't see their face.
Yeah, it's a pretty bland, very cookie-cutter Methodist church that could be literally any town anywhere in the US.
Oh, sure.
So let's just roll this for a few seconds because this is fun. This video starts with a full 10 seconds of room noise as we watch the unintroduced Ryan set up his laptop and then struggle to get the microphone out of its holder.
So all of the shit that we edit out so that our audience doesn't have to suffer through it.
Yes, exactly.
Good morning. So God's called some people to be teachers, prophets, apostles, pastors, and evangelists. And so a teacher's on that list, so I'm going to accept that. Thank you, Lord. So I teach at a high school. I'm certified to teach engineering, audio, video, and art. I like to teach the funner classes. And so right now I'm teaching art.
It's a terrible camera angle. A random guy's arm takes up a full third of the screen at some point. Ryan does not introduce himself. He mumbles his opening. He has zero stage presence. And allegedly, this guy teaches audiovisual engineering at high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's definitely a Christian. He's not practicing what he preaches.
We're going to skip almost all of Ryan's bit, except for this very specific part, which brings up a very specific legal point that I want to share with our audience.
And if the temple of the Holy Spirit will go elect somebody in office who is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and they are inspired by God, just like the first pilgrims that came to start this nation, we will be led by God again. And I think where a lot of people in office are being led by God, but as a whole nation, we need to get as many people in office as possible that know Jesus.
I mean, this looks like, Uncle Dave records every Sunday and he watches it in the replay, and we're seeing, Ma and Pa Kettle's recording of Sunday service.
Yeah. The very specific point that I wanted to bring up was what he just mentioned there about getting as many people into office as possible who know Jesus.
Oh, God, that's terrifying.
Are you aware of how 501c3 works for tax-exempt charities and what the Johnson Amendment is?
Tell them yes on one and no on two.
Yes to the first one, no to the second one. I don't know what the Johnson Amendment is.
Okay, so the Johnson Amendment is... The 501c3 bit is a specific section under which an organization can file as a tax-exempt charity. It's reserved for charities that are doing social good. So, for example, as well as most churches, organizations like Planned Parenthood come under Section 501c3. Now, the Johnson Amendment is an amendment to the legislation that says that tax-exempt charities that fall under 501c3 cannot advocate or tell its members to vote for a specific political candidate.
Oh, we started ignoring that shit during the W. Bush administration, man.
Yeah, I know, it's so depressing. And if you listen to him at Meta, for instance, he talks about Johnson Amendment cases a lot. I think it was the last episode, the most recent episode of the Friendly Atheist podcast, where he's talking about how the IRS did investigate a couple of churches for Johnson Amendment violations and then dropped the cases after the churches sent some letters from their lawyers saying you're not even allowed to investigate what a church does.
Yeah, I remember that first domino falling during the W. Bush administration, where it was a huge scandal that from the pulpit during church hours, a pastor preached about how we should vote for W. Bush. And, nothing came of it. So once that first church violated the rules and literally nothing happened, what do you know? We start seeing that to the point it's completely regular today. It doesn't even raise an eyebrow.
Well, have you heard of Freedom Pulpit Sunday?
No, I imagine it's going to be something terrible.
Freedom Pulpit Sunday is a specific Sunday where churches will simultaneously break the Johnson Amendment by specifically advocating for specific candidates and then send the videos to the IRS as a specific fuck you, try and sue us.
Oh my God.
Because they know they can get away with it.
That's incredible. Holy shit.
It's one of those things that I really wish I was making up, but I'm not.
Can we start doing that? Can like normal people just start sending a picture of their ass to the IRS and being like, I'm not going to pay my taxes, but then we all do that? Can we all do that?
Given the state of the IRS right now, I think yes, you can.
I mean, if churches can get away with it, they're not even paying taxes in the first goddamn place.
I mean, there's no one there to investigate, so why the fuck not? Get in there.
Sounds like a plan. Americans, send pictures of your gaping asshole to the IRS all at once. We have to unite behind this banner.
It is the official position of Bird and Bard Productions that our listening audience should try and pay their taxes with pictures of their gaping assholes.
You heard it here first, folks.
We're actually going to skip the rest of that video because it's incredibly boring. Taylor takes the podium and just talks nonsense for 10 to 15 minutes.
Ugh.
So, we're going to move on to the next clip, which takes place at a community centre where Kandiss discusses election integrity while wearing a t-shirt that says, "Trump did nothing wrong."
Thank you again for being here. And I love your spirit. I love your enthusiasm. We agree on a lot of things. But of course, we disagree on a lot of things. And
we shouldn't, because we're Republicans.
Well, I would completely agree. And that was, I know, earlier in the week, I had the opportunity to talk to Joe for the first time. And one of the things he mentioned was we would not have a one-sided conversation on election integrity.
Y'all having a debate, I think, coming up with Seth Keshel.
Well, no, actually, that kind of is not said, but the point is when someone gets up to speak on election integrity as you did, there are a lot of counterpoints to many things that you said that I think the people in the room do need to hear. And I do think they have to have the opportunity. So as a Georgia State representative, if you don't know me, so sorry.
Dude, all right. First of all, apart from the fact that her husband is a sound guy who apparently teaches that, the fact that they couldn't get the microphone to behave is your first problem. Second of all, I'm glad this shot was of the audience, because that's exactly the audience I pictured from the first clip where he was in front of church and in front of just a bunch of doughy, pasty, uninterested motherfuckers. But there is no diversity or excitement or interest in any of those crowds.
You're 100% right. It's old white people as far as the eye can see. The main purpose of rolling that particular clip was to torture you, Korak the audiophile, with the echo and feedback and wildly different microphone levels between the questioner and Kandiss.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. So the other person talking, they weren't just close. Did they have their own mic, or were they just closer to the camera? Because holy shit!
I don't know. They did have a mic, but the mic was some distance from their mouth and obviously much closer to the speakers, because that was a really, really short echo plus high-pitched feedback. And yeah, as you said,
I bet you $1,000 her husband was the one who set it up.
As you said, her husband teaches audio engineering at the local high school.
Yeah.
We're going to hear Kandiss's response here. It's not interesting and it's not new, so we're just going to roll very quickly. Holy shit, she is loud.
See, we have a lot of stuff that's never been allowed into court. And I mean, I know that y'all don't know some things because you're not doing the research. And I love my House and Senate members. Well, one of them I don't. But I love a lot of them across the state. I have really good relationships. And in fact, they call and tell me things that y'all are doing or talking about all the time. And so they don't really want to do, but they feel intimidated. And so y'all, this is the deal. Y'all are in a bad situation because we only hear what's pushed out from there, whether y'all all agree with it or not. And then we feel like we're not being heard.
It sounds like the other woman is the main speaker and Kandiss has the guest microphone.
Yes. Yeah, the audio quality is shocking, and given how low the bar is for quality audio in the year 2025, that's astounding.
Right? I mean, there's USB mics, for Christ's sake, that cost about $20 at a Radio Shack isn't around, but the equivalent today.
I'm speaking into one of them right now.
Yeah, and you sound beautiful.
Oh, thanks, man.
There's no feedback. I'm not getting any weird buzzing. It's coming through crystal clear in real time. They can't master this. Okay.
I save my weird feedback for where it belongs when I'm playing my guitar.
Exactly.
So, Kandiss's response is nothing that we haven't heard 1,000 times before from 1,000 Trump apologists. It's nothing new or substantial. It's just the same debunked crap about missing votes and so on. It's nonsense. So We're not going to waste any more time with that. We are going to move on to our final clip that is called Let's Get This Straight.
Oh boy.
Our final clip actually has an introduction. So let's hear from Kandiss herself.
Oh boy, did she up the production value in this one?
Significantly, yes. You'll be pleasantly surprised at the lack of echo and feedback.
Wow. Hey, she got that USB mic I was telling you about.
I want to address the liberal mainstream media's attack on me for interviewing two guys who are wonderful people. They're highly intelligent, and I was so blessed to have them on my show, Dave Wise and his friend Matt Long.
Just going to pause quickly here. The two blokes that she's mentioned. First, production values are up, but not quite so far up that she could work out how to edit the visual of her reaching her arm back from switching on the camera.
Right. So, in addition, since there are no sound or video things for me to be distracted by, now I have to focus on what she's saying and how she looks. And I'd rather deal with the audio-visual issues.
I'm pretty sure I've said on the podcast before, I am not one for making fun of people's physical appearance, but Kandiss Taylor is genuinely a test sent from God.
Well, it's not just her physical. Like, everything about her is unappealing and says, I am a dangerously crazy person.
It's a collection of all of the worst parts of church wife stereotyping.
Yes, you do not eat her potato salad at the potluck at all.
No, God, no. The two men that she just mentioned, Dave Weiss is also known as Flat Earth Dave, and he runs the flatearthdave.com website. Yep.
Of course.
He and his buddy Matt Long also describe themselves as cryptocurrency innovators.
Oh, a couple of upstanding pillars of the community, no doubt.
Yeah, and look, I personally have a hard time not pronouncing cryptocurrency as colossal fucking douchebag. And when you add the word innovator after the end, I kind of run out of swear words because that is the biggest bullshit I've ever heard.
I read professional rug puller.
Pump and dump. Yeah. All right, let's have more of a listen to Taylor.
Can't wait.
And they're both Christians, and they both have a different view of the solar system and creation. And I just want to say that I have 4 college degrees. One is a terminal degree, and it's a PhD, a Doctor of Philosophy. So obviously, I love to learn, and I love different theories. I love different philosophies. That's who I am. And I think it's probably who you should be as well. You probably should learn, because if you stop learning, it makes you ignorant.
Just pausing quickly here, she does indeed have a PhD. It is in early childhood education and counselling. It is not in...
Wait, from an accredited university?
From a university, yes.
If this is 4 degrees from Regent, I want to see the correspondence, because I guarantee it's a correspondence course.
Yeah, but it's just worth reminding you that, yeah, Taylor's PhD is in early childhood education, an important and respectable field to be sure. A field that has nothing to do with physics, astronomy, cosmology, or any other related field of science.
Right, and how did she get accepted into any kind of program like that?
Well, I don't know what the admitted standards at Regent University are, but I'm going to guess that you get a bit of a bump if you can yell Jesus really, really loud.
Well, judging by her accent, the only entry exam question is, what's your daddy do?
Well, let's give it another 20 and see what she has to say about her interview.
I am a lifelong learner. In fact, I've thought about going back to law school. I've thought about leaving education and going to law school.
Oh, God. No, you're not. You're not.
Law school, yeah.
For me to interview someone that doesn't believe exactly how I believe or exactly what I've always been taught is not an anomaly. It's normal for me. It's normal for me to interview people and learn from them. In fact, I'm interviewing a transgender next week.
I can't listen to any more of that. It's
4 degrees. Yeah, 4 degrees above room temperature IQ level.
Well, she does have a point. Learning is important, and I agree with her.
Yeah, and she's living proof of how important it is when you don't do it.
Well, I agree with her that you should learn, and that lifelong learning is a good thing. Where we disagree is that I believe the things you should be learning should be true and factual.
My question is, when is she going to start?
I mean, it's one thing to say, yeah, different viewpoints, blah, blah, blah. Fine. But when one of those viewpoints is manifestly wrong, not just misguided or providing a different theory for an agreed reality, but just flat wrong, no pun intended, that's not learning, right? It's not.
And plus, you're jumping from philosophy to astronomy and cosmology. How'd you make that leap? Like that, that's nowhere in your professed field where you got a certificate from Regent University.
Yeah.
So you're going way far out of your wheelhouse, supposedly, and landing on flat Earth.
Yeah, I know. And look, and so many of these alleged alternative theories can be best described as not understanding the thing. If you've seen any of the actor Terrence Howard's theories of how 1 × 1 = 2, that's his famous math theorem, his reorganizing of the periodic table, it all just stems from him not knowing stuff. And this is not a knock on people who don't know things. There's so much shit that I don't know.
Sure. But you don't go spouting off about shit you don't know and claiming it as fact because you read the back of a Cracker Jack box.
Well, I trust the people who do know this stuff. Like, that's one of the things.
Right, that's what peer review is for.
Yeah. And that's... I've been fortunate in my time in research and so on to work with people who are literally the world-leading expert in their field. Wrote the papers, wrote the book, spend large amounts of their year overseas talking at conferences and so on. because they are the person in their field who knows all the stuff.
Right.
And they would stop and ask me what I thought about things, what my opinion was on this particular thing, because it was outside of their expertise, and I was the one who'd just done the reading and just run the experiments and just had the data fresh in my brain. You know,
well, wouldn't you know, if you have a master's in physics, that doesn't make you a master chemist, and masters of physics know that.
It's a trait that is common in the people that I've worked with who are genuine experts, is that they know exactly where their expertise ends.
Right.
They know exactly where they need to start talking to other people.
They can quantify their knowledge base, whereas, well, I just like learning and I think we should keep doing it. Well, yeah, but you need to start first.
Yeah, you need to start from a point that is actually true. And you know, to veer off back into the atheist things we've mentioned before, this is where the danger of allowing religion too much scope comes in, is if you start from a position that is not scientifically defensible, it leads you down all sorts of paths that are just simply untrue.
Right.
And
well, that's the problem with science right there. You start with a hypothesis and then reach a conclusion. I started at the conclusion months ago.
Oh, God, that would be really funny if it wasn't 100% accurate.
I laugh to keep from weeping.
But it's true though. Like it's just that is how so many arguments particularly with Christians go around subjects like science and evolution and even philosophy and morality and things. You know, these people start with their conclusion and work backwards from there, and it's so hard to describe, even to describe to them that their logic is backwards.
Right.
Because when you've been indoctrinated into that thinking for so long, it seems to be impossible to even conceive of a different mode of thinking.
Right. Which, I mean, it's really easy to slide into the argument from incredulity. Well, it can't be any other way. That's the only way that I know.
Yeah, and which circles us back round to why you don't interview flat earthers on your podcast, because their entire philosophy is based on, I don't understand this thing, therefore it must be wrong.
Right. Well, we used to call that failing in high school.
Yeah. So, Quarak.
Yes.
Do you want to play a game?
Actually, no, but I have a feeling we're going to anyway.
Okay, the title of this game is a bit of a reach, and I will not apologize. This game is called New Phone Who Kandiss.
Oh boy. Don't tell me she also texted classified plans to a journalist.
I would be 0% surprised if she did. The format of this game, which, as always, is completely original and has not been copied off of any other podcast anywhere ever, is that I'm going to read out 3 statements to you. Your task, Quarak, is to identify which one is false. Are you ready?
Let's get this over with.
Okay, quote number 1. And I'm not going to attempt to do a Georgia accent because I do not wish to insult any of our listeners who may hail from the great state of Georgia. Quote number 1. The people that defended the globe don't know anything about the globe. If they knew 1/10 of what Matt and I know about the globe, they would be flat earthers.
Wow, okay.
Now I'm just going to let that quote sit with you for a second there as you ponder what it means by, if they knew 1/10 of what Matt and I know, they'd be flat earthers.
But I don't know if they ever defended the globe, so it's quite the conundrum.
Number 2, everywhere there's globes. For me, if it's not a conspiracy, if it's real, why are you pushing so hard everywhere I go? Every store you buy a globe. There's globes everywhere, every movie, every TV show, every news media. Why?
Okay.
Quote number 3. They say, well, if the earth is flat, what about night and day? Well, let me think about that. Maybe it's because the earth is double-sided. God flips us over when it's bedtime, then flips us back when it's time to wake up, like I do with my husband. Use your brain.
Wow. Okay, I want that one to be true.
Well,
Oh,
2
God.
of those quotes very definitely are. Which 2? And which do you think is false?
First of all, the fact that 2 out of those 3 quotes are true is very sad. Okay, I know for a fact the second one is true because I think this was a while ago. This might have been years ago when she was running or something. But I remember seeing her say this, like, there's globes everywhere. Why do you think that is? It's a big conspiracy. They're shoving the globe theory down our throats. I remember thinking, who the fuck is this crazy person? So I'm pretty sure that was her. So I've heard that one. But now it's between... me and Matt know about flat Earth, and I flip my husband over just like God flips us over, like a pancake. And that's a tough fucking call. I think the first and the second quote are new phone, or what's the catchphrase that I'm supposed to throw in here?
For the false one, the catchphrase you're throwing in is new phone, who can diss?
So Kandiss's phone is picking up the first 2, and the third one is new phone, who can diss?
Excellent.
That is my final answer.
Okay, well, very clearly and obviously you believe, you're certain that number 2 is true, and you are correct about that. Number 2 is definitely true, and that's where Kandiss picked up most of her media traction, because a lot of people were saying, why are you buying a globe in every store you go into?
Okay, so that is... All right, when you introduced Kandiss at the beginning of this show, I did not remember who she was. And that brought it all back to me. She burned her image in my mind with that single quote. That is all I've ever heard of this person until today.
Yep. So I've never been to Georgia, so I can't obviously make a first-hand comment about what may or may not be in stores in Georgia. But apparently it's just globes everywhere, that every single store sells multiple globes, and apparently you're forced to buy one every time you go into every store. So
I mean, I've lived in Georgia for a few years, so yeah, most folks talk like that, and so you can't tell which ones are smart or stupid until they actually start talking to you. But I've been in all kinds of stores in Georgia. I ain't never seen a single globe, so maybe they all been bought up by the deep state. Who knows?
Once again, I will not be insulting our listeners by even attempting a Georgia accent.
I mean, I will. What you gonna do? I live in fucking Costa Rica, bro, but I blend in with you guys. You slap a red hat on me, I can go any fucking where I want down there.
That's called white guy privilege.
Damn straight. I'm gonna use it.
And you also believe that quote number 1 is true. And I'm here to tell you.
Yeah.
The quote number 1 is true.
Oh, thank God.
And
that third one was, even for me, way beyond the pale.
That third one comes from a video released by comedian Blair Erskine, who did a parody of Kandiss Taylor shortly after this flat earth stuff hit the media. Blair is hilarious. She's a writer for TV shows that you've definitely watched in the past, and her videos are fantastic. Her most recent ones that she's been doing that have gained a bit of traction, she's pretended to be Pete Hegseth's sister. And
nice.
If you haven't seen them, go jump on the internet. They're everywhere. But pause the podcast right now. Go find them and have yourself a laugh, because Lord knows we need as many of those as we can right now.
But that's the state of comedy today, is you don't parody something by making a caricature of it. You just say the shit that they say, because that is almost indistinguishable from her actual talk.
Yeah, and look, and even this one where Blair has claimed to be Hegseth's sister, that has been picked up by some media figures as being genuine. So this is, yeah.
Apparently Pete Hegseth's sister is making headlines. Yeah. Oh, it's not hers? We're reporters, and we were supposed to know that because we're supposed to be fact checkers.
Because you just can't parody anything anymore. There is no law. There is only Poe's law. I don't know what else to tell you, man. But yes, I do love the complete lack of self-awareness that comes with the genuine quote, if they knew 1/10 of what Matt and I know about the globe, they would be flat earthers.
Wow. I guess we didn't get enough degrees. I mean, she has 4. You only have 1, so she's doing way better than you, Doc.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true, yeah.
If you would have applied yourself more and gone to Regent instead.
Well, one thing I didn't mention about Regent University, because again, I don't want to be making any statements that could be actionable, but I believe I am okay to report that there is a subreddit out there where a question, is Regent University a diploma mill, was answered with yes, and here's how I know.
Oh, whistleblower.
Yeah, apparently so. Of course, this is on Reddit, and of course, this is all anonymous. So, besides not wanting to get...
But wait a minute. Now, hang on. Those allegations are on the internet, and so is Kandiss. So they can't both be false.
Well, as well as not wanting to get sued by anybody, I also don't want to mislead our wonderful listeners with unsourced allegations.
Of course. Allegedly.
Having said that...
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Have we said enough allegedly? If we haven't, we'll just get our lawyers to pepper them through in the appropriate spots later.
Yeah.
But yeah, having said that, look, unsubstantiated allegations are fun. I don't know for certain that as long as you keep writing the checks and the checks are big enough, Regent University will issue whichever diplomas you want. But I also have no proof that that's not the case.
Well, I mean, if it works for the right wing where we can just make unsubstantiated allegations and face no consequences, why don't we dip our toe in those waters?
For sure.
Well, that'll do it for this week, folks. If you enjoy our content and want early and exclusive access to your favorite Bird and Bard combo, join us on patreon.com/KorakTheBard. And if you feel like throwing us a coin or two for our efforts, toss any and all monetary contributions to buymeacoffee.com/KorakTheBard. As always, you can find me on my Atheism 101 channel over on youtube.com/@antitheistsuperstition, where I debate, demolish, and despoil religious nutjobs. For questions, comments, queries, quips, and quotes, shoot us an email at birdandbardproductions@gmail.com. And be sure to tune in to the Ready to Rumble podcast, where our upcoming episodes will feature a volcano-sized rabbit hole that came from the strangest Rumble ad we've ever seen, as well as a very deep dive into my time as an undercover right-wing shithead. Until then, I'm your favorite bard, Korak the Bard.
And I'm Dr. Scorpion the Bird.
Wishing you health, happiness, and a heap of common sense, which is sadly in short supply these days. Best of luck, everyone. Take care of yourselves and each other.
The preceding podcast was copyright Bird and Bard Productions 2025, all rights reserved. All music was recorded by Bird and Bard and used with permission. All clips are used under these provisions of applicable copyright laws.